Good Wednesday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here. And let's wake up those football gods here on Thanksgiving Eve. Oh my goodness. We got 3 games tomorrow. 3 freaking games. And I got to cook Thanksgiving dinner. Actually, I'm going to start working on Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So that way I am freed up as much as possible for tomorrow. I'll go ahead and get like the sweet potatoes and stuff like ready. I'll get the beans ready. I'll get like the broccoli and cheese and stuff. So all I have to do is warm that stuff up. I actually took my bread out yesterday and put it in a big bowl. So you got to use real bread. Got to get those sub rolls in there, some potato bread and some honey wheat bread. Get all those different breads and stuff and get it stale. See, the bread today is not like the bread of old because it doesn't really get dry, but you need it crusty. That's why I took it out yesterday. So it will get crispy for me. So I'm going to be ready for Thanksgiving. We'll be at least watching the Lion Gang. I might be cooking, so I might have the camera upstairs, but we'll figure it out. In the meantime, and in between time, you do your thing and I'll do mine. And this morning we have to, knowing that we're playing with the Raiders, we have to finally get everything together on who's playing and who's out. And later on today, I'll start breaking down the Raiders and what we have to fear and worry about with that team. How does it look as far perspective-wise? The big thing is going to be is, will Ceedee Lamb practice today? If Ceedee Lamb does not practice today, which this is not like, we're in, pads and we're hitting the sled. This is a walkthrough, basically. It's a walkthrough. It's helmets. It's no shield. There's no padding. If Ceedee doesn't play today, he won't play tomorrow because part of the protocol is once you start not having symptoms, you start doing classroom work, then you start doing some limited football things, and then you get out to practice, then you can play. For him to play tomorrow would be an expedited concussion protocol for the Cowboys. So I'm for one, I'm not sure, but if he does play, it would be like a Thanksgiving miracle, at least in my mind. I could be wrong on that. I'm not there. I'm not part of the medical staff, but reading the language of what the rules are by the NFL and understanding he did not practice yesterday, knowing the game's tomorrow, it's going to be tough. So we may be shorthanded at wide receiver. Where we won't be shorthanded, it looks like, is Tyron Smith will be back. He practiced fully for the first time in quite a few weeks and looks like he's back at his usual left tackle spot. One thing I do want to clarify and make sure of is that Terrence Steele is now, of course, back on the right-hand side. But I don't know. He had some starters reps. We don't know if Terrence Steele is now the starter at right tackle or not, or if it's going to be La'el Collins. La'el Collins last week had a terrible game, giving up a sack, giving up like 5 hurries and 4 pressures. It was not a good day for him. And part of the problem, I believe, with the Cowboys is consistency across the offensive line. Once Tyron Smith went down, we ended up doing a complete juggle because it wasn't just Tyron Smith that changed positions. Then it was Terrence Steele that went over to the right, and he wasn't anywhere near the same as Tyron Smith. And so now you inserted La'el Collins, who had been sitting on the bench for 7 weeks. So now all of a sudden, both of your tackle situations were shook up, and that really hurt the offensive line. Enter in last week, we decided to go ahead and say, Connor Williams, we know you started every game last year. We know you started every game this year, but we're going to go ahead and bench you for Connor McGovern. So now, last week, you literally had 3 offensive line positions change roles. That's hard. It's hard. And the Cowboys are going to need to get back to consistency on the offensive line and hopefully have Tyron Smith for the rest of the season. Losing him is literally the linchpin of the Cowboys offensive line and therefore the Cowboys offense. So we'll see about Ceedee Lamb if we get him back. At least we'll have Ceedee Lamb, Amari Cooper back for next week's game, next Thursday's game, of course, against Saints. And maybe we might even have DeMarcus Lawrence, who we have been hearing is close. He's been about, this close, it seems like, for a month. It's kind of like the boy cried wolf. You're just waiting. Oh, he's close. He's close. They've just been teasing us that he may be back out on the field, and it's been weeks. In the meantime, something interesting happened today. I get up in the morning. I don't sleep a lot at night. My body's screwed up. Let's be clear. I'm old. I've had, football injuries, construction work and stuff. My body at 56, it's just bad. And a lot of times people say, why don't you sit down and relax and stuff? Take it easy. Why are you always working? Because as long as I'm in motion, it doesn't hurt. If I sit down for a long period of time, you'll see me doing the live streams. When I get up like I'm a 90-year-old man, and it takes me a few moments to get my body back in motion. So, I'm better off if I'm actually just working in the workshop all day. I'm in less pain than if I'm just sitting around on the couch. And the same thing is at night when I go to bed. I sleep for 2 or 3 hours. I got to get up and move, or else I'm just completely in pain. So that's when I'm doing my research and stuff. I wake up with an idea or a thought, and I'll try and get the numbers to back things up, because I always, when I come up with something, a solution or a theory, I like to have something behind it, okay? I don't want to just say, well, here's what somebody else said, and, I'm regurgitating it. I want to do my own research. People share with me all the time, oh, let me show you, this person said this. If it's an opinion piece, I don't read it. I don't watch it, because that's their opinion and their thoughts, and I don't want to pollute my mind with somebody else's thoughts and theories. I'll come up with something, and then I'll do the numbers. And you guys may remember, but be that as it may. Doesn't mean it's always going to be right. But more times than not, by doing that, I actually have a pretty good track record with things. So this morning, interesting thing, I was on Bleacher Report. Ed Werder, Ed Werder, he has credibility because he works for ESPN. He covers the Cowboys. He's been there forever. I wish I had the credibility and the backing of Ed Werder and the guys like on ESPN and NFL Network. But, I am Joe the fan here in my basement talking about the Cowboys. Ed Werder this morning tweeted this out. Interested if Cowboys' Micah Parsons contends for NFL Defensive Player of the Year. The only rookie to win was Lawrence Taylor in 1991 per ESPN stats. Parsons is on pace for 105 tackles, 13.5 sacks in a 17-game schedule. Last player to do that in 16 games was Bruce Smith in 1993. And I bet you're saying, wow, hadn't thought about him not being just Defensive Rookie of the Year, but being Defensive Player of the Year. And what you're seeing now is you're seeing comparisons to, Aaron Donald. That somebody posted on Instagram and they tagged me on it. Let me. Stacy Stuber did. Micah Parsons has 17 more tackles, 4 more tackles for loss, 4 more quarterback hits, and 2 more sacks than Aaron Donald. And if you look at Myles Garrett's numbers, he's very similar. Now, Myles Garrett has a lot more sacks and pressures, but Myles Garrett is a full-time edge rusher. Micah Parsons is all over the place. And I've talked about this for a while. I've said, even during the live stream, because I was saying, if you were to say that Micah Parsons is an edge rusher, he'd be in the top 10 in sacks for this season. He's there with more tackles and pressures than most guys are as an edge rusher. If you were to say he's just a linebacker, the number of tackles would make him one of the top linebackers. He's tops in both of those, doing both jobs. There's only so many plays to go around. The funny thing is, several weeks back, quite a while ago, I was saying that Micah Parsons is much like Lawrence Taylor, that he's going to be that kind of player. Giants fans, of course, went crazy. You lost your mind. How dare you put Micah Parsons and Lawrence Taylor in the same breath? I said, you're crazy. You're crazy. I went through. I did the numbers. I projected weeks ago where he was going to be, and I said, if you take it, and I even compared to Chase Young, I think 2 weeks ago, I said, Micah Parsons, if you compared him to last year's Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2 weeks ago, he was beating Chase Young on everything except sacks. At the time, Micah had a sack and a half less than Chase Young. Now he's got more than Chase Young had last year. And so here's where it's interesting. Again, I'm not Ed Werder. I don't work for ESPN. I am not an expert. I didn't play pro football. I didn't go to ESPN school of broadcasting. I'm not an expert. But it's funny. This was on the 16th of March. And, has played well. And you look at that as a hell of a bonus that the Dallas Cowboys got along with Micah Parsons. And most people will tell you, well, it's a runaway, it's a runaway for Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's sewn up. As long as Micah Parsons makes it through the season, it's his. Well, I'm here to tell you it's time to stop talking about Defensive Rookie of the Year. Just be done with it. I'm sick of it. It's no point in talking about Defensive Rookie of the Year, because what we really need to be talking about is Defensive Player of the Year. I know you're looking at me like, dude, are you on crack? Are you crazy? And I'm going to say no. Because what you're seeing right now with Micah Parsons is freaking amazing. Okay? Micah Parsons, because the thing about Micah Parsons is he an edge rusher or is he a linebacker? Because when you're an edge rusher, generally speaking, you're going to get a lot of sacks. You're going to get tackles for losses. You're going to get quarterback hits. You're not going to get a whole lot of tackles, numbers-wise, because when you're a linebacker, the defense is designed for you to make the plays. It's made for the defensive lineman to stop the offensive lineman to get to the second level. It's your job to scrape and make all the tackles. So generally speaking, a good linebacker will make over 100 tackles, in a season. But he's not getting a lot of sacks. He might get 2, 3, 4 sacks and stuff because they're blitzing, but it's not really their thing. It's not what they really, really do. So you have Micah Parsons, who's doing both of these roles.
Who is this guy?
Both of these roles. But it's crazy because of the numbers that he's getting. Right now, let me just give you where he is right now. Solo tackles, currently he has 44. If he continues at that pace, by the end of the year, he will have 83 solo tackles. That means tackles by himself.
By his damn self.
Okay? Combined tackles, he has 58. He's on pace for 109 total tackles combined. Tackles for losses, he has 11 right now, on pace for 20. Sacks, he has 6. He's on pace for 11. Quarterback hits, he's got 15. He's on pace for 28. And forced fumbles, he has 1, so he's on pace for 2. When you look at his place in the NFL, for solo tackles, he's 28th. I'm not saying that that's outstanding, but when you take all the Philly, why do you always start this video? I'm trying to understand why the heck
the ghost in the machine.
Always the ghost in my machine here. He's 28th in solo tackles. That means if you take every single defensive player in the NFL, all of them, he's the 28th in solo tackles. If you take him in combined tackles, he's 44th. I know you're like, okay, that's not that high. But take every defensive player. Actually, it is. Because an edge rusher usually is not leading a team in tackles. In fact, I don't think it's ever happened. Tackles for loss. He's 4th in the NFL in tackles for losses.
Can you believe that shit?
Sacks. He's 13th. Quarterback hits.
That was
he's
before the
12th.
two last week.
And forced fumbles, he's 42nd. Okay,
That moved
so you're
up
like,
'cause he got
okay,
another one.
big deal. What does that all mean? Well, let me put this into a perspective here and give you an idea of where that stacks up from what we did, say, last year. Last year, and this will give you what I mean about being a linebacker, you're going to get more tackles. Jalen Smith had 154 tackles last year, okay? And a lot of that was because our defense was constantly on the field. We ended up having so many plays against us because we could not get off the field. If you got a great defense that's putting people 3 and out, you're not going to get a lot of tackles.
This guy talks
But
too
with
much.
that, Jalen Smith, 154 tackles, which is a lot of tackles. I think he was one of the leading tacklers in the NFL, if not the leading. Problem is he would usually get carried downfield when he's getting tackled. But what I want you to look at is his solo tackles. He had 89. Micah Parsons is on pace for 83. Tackles for loss, he had 5. Micah Parsons is on pace for 20. Quarterback hits, he had 4. Micah Parsons is on pace for 28. And that's what I mean by linebackers aren't going to have a lot of those quarterback hits and tackles for loss because, you know, they're 5 yards off the ball. But if we take DeMarcus Lawrence, and you'll see the reverses here, you'll see a lot more sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence had 6.5 sacks. Well, right now, Micah Parsons has 6. He's on pace for 11. Solo tackles, D-Law had 34. Micah Parsons is on pace to have 83. Tackles for loss, D-Law had 11. And right now, Micah Parsons has 11 and is on pace for 20. Quarterback hits.
Isn't this shit crazy?
D-Law, who was a defensive end all season long.
This was D-Law's
had
best
10.
season.
Micah Parsons has 15 already and is on pace for 28. So you look at the numbers there. Right now, he's about to blow away the numbers for our number 1 defensive end last year. And he's not going to have, you know, the number of tackles total. But you look at the quarterback hits, the tackles for loss and all that, the solo tackles, he's up there with your linebacker. You're combining those two players, and you're getting those numbers just from Micah Parsons. And I know you're saying, okay, yeah, well, last year's defense was terrible. You can't say that DeMarcus Lawrence was one of the best
he's got a point here.
edge rushers last year, although they did say he's one of the best run stoppers in the NFL. All right, what I want to do is let's change this up a little bit. Let's go to 2017 when DeMarcus Lawrence was actually, I think, 3rd in MVP, defensive MVP numbers.
Here we go.
In voting. His numbers, highlighted in yellow there, had 14.5 sacks. Micah Parsons is on pace for 11. Not as many sacks. Combined tackles, he had 58. Micah Parsons may double that with 109. Solo tackles, Micah Parsons is on pace for 83 as opposed to 35 from D-Law. Tackles for loss, Micah Parsons is on pace for 20. He's already got 11. D-Law had 14. Quarterback hits, right now Micah Parsons is on pace to have 2 more quarterback hits than D-Law in his MVP, not runner-up, try-up? I don't know. What do you call it? Okay. I know what you're saying, but he didn't win it. Okay. Let's take a look at Myles Garrett.
Okay.
I believe last year, didn't he win Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
He had 12 sacks. Right now, Micah Parsons is on pace for 11. That's changed.
He had 48 combined tackles. Again, Micah Parsons is on pace for 109. Solo tackles. Myles Garrett had 33. He's on pace for 83. Tackles for loss. Already, Micah Parsons has more tackles for loss than Myles Garrett had all last year. He's got 11 right now and pace for 20. Quarterback hits. Right now, Micah Parsons already at 15 on pace for 28. And forced fumbles. Myles Garrett had 4. Micah Parsons is on pace to have 2. So now I go back to my original premise here.
Here you go.
Talking about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is something that we've never seen before. Is he a linebacker? Is he an edge rusher? Is he just a damn freak that's coming to kick your ass? The Terminator. He is an absolute positive beast.
All right, so, again, I don't work for ESPN or NFL Network and, former player. I'm just a guy. But here it is. You got Ed Warner saying, I wonder if he might be Defensive Player of the Year. Well, I kind of made the case for that last week. And the numbers that I gave you last week changed some, okay? He was, before the game, on pace for 108 tackles. It's looking like 105 because he had, the 4. But the sacks have gone from 11 to like 13 and a half. And one final thing here, I want you to look to give you guys a perspective, because this is what we do here at the Joe Boo Sports Report, is I try and give you knowledge that you don't necessarily get elsewhere. Let's just take a look here. These are the best rookie performances in sacks in the NFL. Now, keep in mind, sacks wasn't started to count until like 1980. So you can't go through with the Deacon Joneses and guys like that to see where they were. However, the best rookie season of sacks was 14 and a half by Javon Curse in 1999. But as you look at this list here, right now, Micah Parsons is just on the outside. Lawrence Taylor had 9.5 his rookie year. We're only talking about if he gets 2 or 3 sacks, he will be in the top 10. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If he gets 4 more sacks in the next 7 games, he will be in the top 10 of sackers as a rookie. And he's not an edge rusher full time. That's insane. So, yes, we are talking about Micah Parsons as possibly Defensive Player of the Year. At the current pace, his numbers are better than Aaron Donald. His numbers are better than Myles Garrett. And you can look at the Dallas Cowboys defense and say, would the Dallas Cowboys defense have turned it around this well without Micah Parsons, knowing that they've lost Randy Gregory for games, knowing that they lost D-Law for all but 1 game? I don't know that there is anybody out there that you could honestly say is more valuable on their defense than that guy. A defense that went from 29th in scoring defense to, top 10. To me, yeah, it's definitely got to be in that conversation. Anyway, this video has gotten to be kind of long here, but we want to make sure we get you all the news and stuff that's going on with the Dallas Cowboys and things. And it's going to be a busy day. I got a lot of work to do in the shop. A bunch of you have made orders that we've got to get fulfilled. If you are a channel member, make sure you go to the community tab. There is a post there just for you guys to go ahead and to be able to email. It's got the email address and stuff, so that way we get your contact information to make sure that you've gotten your shot glasses or racks and things like that, and we can get you guys with special things that we're going to be doing and promoting and stuff, as well as getting your discounts from the Joe Boo shop and stuff for merchandise. And with that being said, You know how we roll.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.